Hello, I'm Helen Vandenberg. I'm here in the studio with my guest, Duran Cerron. And she's here to talk about Heifer International. And it's a charity organization with a particular slant. And Duran is going to explain to us what a heifer is and what Heifer International does.
Hi, pleasant to be here with you. Heifer International is all about a cow. So if you see this flying cow here, you know, the wish if pigs could fly. Well, cows can actually fly. Heifer International started in 1939 when Dan West was in helping refugees from the Spanish-American War. And he was handing out cups of milk. And he realized, I don't need cups of dried milk, I need a cow. So in 1944, the first cows went over to help these refugees. So for all those years since, over 12 million families have been helped in 50 different countries around the world with heifer by simply giving an animal, educating the family how to take care of the animal, and the first offspring of that animal then goes to another local person in the village or town.
That's so wonderful.
It's inspiring.
It's so unlike any other. I'd seen the sign, but to get into precisely what kind of animals they give, I was stunned.
Yes, it's exciting because you can give a knitting basket, which are animals that women then use to knit and spin yarn and create a business run by women. You can give a camel, a water buffalo, guinea pigs, rabbits, and my favorite, and what got me involved, was Beatrice's goat. Beatrice's goat is a children's book. However, Beatrice is a real person, and she lived in Uganda, and she was too poor to go to school, and you have to have enough money to buy an outfit and books to go to school. So her family got a pregnant goat, and she had enough money from the family, and they had to learn how to have proper land, take care of the goat, and how to feed the goat, and they had enough money from selling the milk and the cheese to send her to school. She did so well from going to school that she went on to upper education from elementary. She got a scholarship to attend university in the United States and got her doctorate.
Wow.
All from a goat called Lucky.
That is so amazing.
So her village got 120 goats. Her goat was pregnant with twins, which she then gave to one of her best friend's families. And the funds for that goat, $120, was raised by a Sunday school in Connecticut. So that reason, I have my church, St. Francis in Willow Glen. Every year for our Lenten giving, we fill little boxes with all our nickels and dimes and quarters. In the last 2 years, we have gathered over $1,000.
It's amazing. And this is Beatrice's story.
This is Beatrice's story with a foreword by Hillary Clinton. The foundation is actually a chapter in Clinton's book on helping the world. The fun part about heifer also is not only do they just give animals, they give trees, seeds, education for women, especially for women who are in environments where cultures where they don't have a voice and they don't have a way to make a living. And so they help them find ways that are culturally correct and to go on and have a living. And there's quotes on their website, this women saying, I finally have a voice and I finally have power to do what I want. It's very impressive. But the nice part is they also have educational centers all over the world that field trips, school children, and even adults can go see what it's like to live in a village in Africa or see what it's like to live in the Middle East.
So you're saying like Americans can do this and go and live in Africa?
Yes, but they also have education centers here in the United States that they have created an African village. So you have the feeling of how $10 can change a life.
Yes, it's staggering.
And change generations of lives. For my daughter's wedding, we had budgeted money for favors, and we thought about it, and we love heifer. So we got honey sticks and put them on bookmarks, and we said the sweetness of our love travel around the world. So all the money we budgeted for the favors, we put the favors together for free, and we donated it all to heifer and bought beehives in Armenia, where my husband's family is from. And a whole village is now sustainable from these hives.
That's amazing. Do you have any idea how many hives they had?
I don't know, it's $30 a hive, so quite a few. We had a big budget.
And didn't you also tell me there was some pumps?
Yeah, they have irrigation.
Irrigation pumps and so forth.
Safe housing.
Yes.
They also pair up. Heifer also realize they're not alone. You can give people food, but if they have no place to live. So my daughter, 3 years back, went with Fuller Center and Global Builders, which is an associate of Habitat for Humanity. And she built houses in Armenia. The people had an earthquake in 1988, and they're still living in sealand containers that are resting. Whole families, multiple generations of families, and outdoor kitchens in snow and rain. And so she built houses so that they would have a place to live. And many of these families that she built houses for had an animal from heifer. So it pairs up with the Fuller Center. It pairs up with Habitat for Humanity. It pairs up with Sustainable Living and all the other organizations, Nets for Life, which is the mosquito netting. It all supports, and they all help each other through heifer.
And I understand that heifer has it so that they're only there for a while, like 2 or 3 years. Their whole purpose is to move on out.
Yes, they started in Spain and with the refugees. There are 50 countries now. However, I think Albania, and there's another one, Serbia, I think, they're become sustainable. They're fine. So they're moving on to other countries that need help. After the Vietnam War, they were very heavy there. If you want to donate to them, you can just donate to the nearest, wherever the greatest need is.
Yeah. So could you explain a bit about this?
Oh, well, they have a great education. So the whole point is educating the people about how to take care of the animal. But they also have education for teachers. Any teacher, any educator, any Sunday school teacher can get online and download for free all their education materials. This happens to be 1st and 2nd grade, which comes along with Beatrice's goat. You get this for free if you're an educator, and then you report back how you used it during the year. It has cross-curricular core curriculum values, so it's right along with the state testing. Has math and literature connections, has sociology and geography lessons. So it gives the children a sense of a more global economy.
Yeah, it sounds also that the communities are accountable.
Yes, extremely so. So you have to make sure you're taking care of their animals. They check in on the people, and they also have to give the firstborn to another family.
Yes.
And share the gift. And so if you gave, say, a chicken, the first chicks then go to another family, then you get the eggs, and then those chicks go to another family. And so it's like not just giving a fish, but teaching somebody to fish, and then teaching your neighbor to fish.
It's almost viral.
It is. It's extremely viral, and it's catching because it not only reaches at a cultural level, since we all have different cultures. So it wouldn't help if you were in China and I gave you grain for wheat because you want to eat rice, so they give rice. There's irrigation, there's trees. If you're a vegetarian, you don't want to give an animal that might possibly get eaten, you can give a tree. You can give honey. You can give all kinds of things. A knitting basket, a basket of cheese. That makes me giggle. A camel for transportation.
I love the idea of giving a camel.
A water buffalo. A guinea pigs for Peru, I think it is, because they use for different means. And
yeah.
So, yeah, I've given many gifts. There's a book that they have that you can buy. You can also buy Christmas tree ornaments, and you can buy their honey. So I gave some children, my godson's grandchildren, a book called The Chicken and the Worm about living together in society and getting along. But then I also gave them a chicken to some little girl somewhere else.
This is so amazing.
So,
So you're having impact around the world. I mean, you're lying there in bed at night and you're thinking, you know, what's going on in Nigeria? Oh, the chicken.
my chicken is doing fine.
That chicken is alive and well because I sent it there.
Well, and for Christmas, I mean, how many sweaters do you need? Unless you're a knitter and I made it for you, like, then you really need it.
You don't give it away.
But, you know, Christmas is really hard for people. You go get the gift card, you send it across the United States. You don't need that extra thing. We have enough in
Yes,
San Jose
we do.
and in the Silicon Valley.
Yes.
So our family several years back all donated a cow to Armenia because it's where we're from. But also nowadays, last year I gave my children a part of a women's business cooperative through Heifer.
That's great.
So we can buy a small little intimate gift under $20. But if you think about half the people in Silicon Valley, if they all just bought a $20 chicken, how many more people could be sustainable living
Right.
and one less return the next day?
Right.
So,
And if you go online, you get your choice of almost anything that you want to give. That's where the water buffalo is.
yes, the water buffalo. And if you give, and you have the Rural Arc magazine, and every 2 months you get a lovely story of where somebody's gift has changed a life. Much like Beatrice,
Yeah.
a simple goat.
The story is what makes it.
Yeah.
You have a good story there.
Yeah. Well, I want to share a quote, and this is from a lady from Armenia. Believe it or not, besides giving us a variety of dairy products, which was rich in nutrients, the cow made our life more interesting. We have a reason for getting up early and being in good shape and being healthy. I love my cows, and perhaps feeling my love and care, they respond to me, and the same, they wag their tails. My favorite, though, is I owe nothing. Just 2 years ago, it's amazing how much I have now, and life is a lot different. My husband values and respects me. Owning a cow has earned me lots of respect from this village. So see, cows can fly.
That is so touching. It's really great. So, for our audience out there who are thinking about Christmas gifts and so forth, or any gift at all, you need to go to Heifer International, www.heifer.org, and help pass on the gift.
Give a goat.
Or a camel.
Or a camel.
Or a water buffalo.
Or a woman alive.
Oh, that more than anything. She's not waiting around for her husband to take care of her.
She can change her life.
Yes, I like it very, very much. I think that this has been one of the most entertaining charitable organization ploys I've ever heard.
I just feel very passionate about it.
You're very passionate about it, and you engender passion in other people when you talk about it. Because we kind of like, do you remember that Apple commercial where they're all gray men sitting there? If you sit at a computer too long, that's it. So, this is Helen Vanderberg wrapping up here in the studio with my guest, Duan Zeron, for Heifer International. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are we on? We've got the camera on still.
Stop tape. All right. All right. Okay, so now it's time to switch people. Hello, welcome to KMVT. I'm Edward Yu, your host. I'm very pleased to introduce you to our guest tonight, Robert Zeron. He's an expert on Japanese animation, aka anime. Hello, Rob. Welcome to KMVT.
Hello, glad to be here.
So, what can you tell us about Japanese animation?
Well, Japanese animation, a lot of people think that it's a genre. and it's not. It's actually more of an art form. It actually covers any genres that literature or film covers, from everything from education to mature audiences, the
So,
whole spectrum.
okay. So what's so special about Japanese animation that fascinates people?
Well, a lot of times, the first thing that grabs their attention is it looks very different from its Western counterpart. Um, Characters tend to have large eyes or wacky hair, and that's partially because of its comic roots and how it came about. Came about What we know of as modern anime actually came about in 1962 thanks to a man called Osamu Tezuka, who is known as the god of manga or Japanese comics in Japan because he has hundreds of works to his name. And what he did that was different for his time period is he started in the 50s writing comics. And unlike the American comics of the 50s, where you have a 9x9 grid and nothing really goes on one panel to the next, he took that and he actually did it more like storyboards. So it's framed as in a camera would frame the action. And he played around with that. And also, thanks to his love of Walt Disney and American cartoons like Betty Boop with their large eyes, he tended to put large eyes on his characters, all the better to express emotion with. So in 1962, again, inspired by Walt Disney, he decided to start up his own animation studio, and he created a show in America. It's called Astro Boy, one of the first comics he did. And it actually came over here in 1963. At the time, not many people knew what it was. It's like, oh,
Right.
what is this? It's so interesting. And they just thought, it's another cartoon. It wasn't really till the 80s that people started recognizing this art form that, oh, this is actually coming from Japan. And, oh, wow, this is really nifty. One of the main draws after people get over the viewing aspect is another draw is the storylines are different. Usually, a lot of American cartoons, they're very much sitcom. You start out with your premise. At the end of the episode, everybody's fine. Nothing's really changed. And you go on to the next episode. And a good example is Scooby-Doo. There's the villain of the week. They chase after him. They capture. They unmask him. And they go on to the next week. Anime has a tendency for longer storylines that go over like entire seasons, kind of like some of our, like Lost, for example, really drew in viewers with its long storyline. Also, these characters are not really one note, they're more human. You can have villains, you don't have just heroes and villains, one note, I'm the good guy, I am the bad guy. You can have villains that switch sides. It's like, you know what, I really want to be over there. You can have good guys that do atrocious things, but all in the name of justice, and they might regret their actions later immensely, but it was for the good of the cause.
So not just a standard Hollywood
So it's
ending
not
conclusion.
standard Hollywood ending. It's not happily ever after. It's not unknown for main characters to die halfway through the picture. You might have characters die or leave or not complete their mission, what they actually set out to. They find out that what they were trying to achieve might not be what was really the best, and so they change goals. It's more human. It's not just the words people say, it's the actions that people do.
Okay. I think when people think about Japanese animation or they relate to this extravagant outfits, right? And they relate to little kids or girls in school uniform. But when you look into Japanese animation, there's more about this. There's more about just the appearance. Could you tell us a little more about the Japanese development of the animation? The story?
How it developed?
Correct.
Well, a lot of the stories they're drawn from the comics. Unlike the U.S. industry, where we have very Like you have Marvel, you have DC, maybe a couple independents here and there. You don't have a big comic book industry. In Japan, there's many, many companies all competing against each other, and in all fields. You can have educational programs on one side, and the other side you could have your like Law and Order SVU, for example, and so they have a larger pool to draw upon. One example of kind of a story that was based on a comic book is I was just talking about with somebody earlier. Is a series called Death Note. The main character in Death Note is actually an anti-hero. He finds a god of death who is bored with his job of killing people when it's their time, and decide to drop his book, his Death Note, if you will, into the world of the living. And with this book, if you write down somebody's name, they'll die. And so the main character finds this book and decides, what if I was to kill all the criminals in the world? And so he starts out with the goal of trying to eliminate crime by the most drastic means necessary, by killing criminals. And he starts out with big things like people on death row. Why are they sitting there so long? Let's write down their names. Can't catch me. How are they going to catch me?
Fascinating.
And the story develops from there.
So, Rob, you mentioned earlier that the first Japanese animation which was introduced to America is called Astro Boy?
Astro Boy.
Okay. So after that, what were the major release of a Japanese animation?
Another big release in, Astro Boy was a big one. Also, Speed Racer was also in the 60s, which is very popular. In the 70s, you had a series called Star Blazers here in the U.S., which was extremely popular. And in fact, so popular even to this day that there's one company that releases Star Blazers on DVD, and that is all they release. And it's enough to keep them in business since its original release on television.
Wow.
In the 80s, series started coming out, and people actually started recognizing it as Japanese anime and looking for more of it. And in the 90s, shows like Sailor Moon really got a female audience interested, and shows like Pokemon got young kids really interested. And in 2001, in fact, actually came out in the U.S. in 2002, a Studio Ghibli movie by the name of Spirited Away was released and was humongously popular here. And in fact, in 2003, it won the Academy Award for Best Animated Picture.
Yes, I remember that. Can you tell our audience if they are interested in knowing more about Japanese animation, what sources can I go to?
Nowadays, actually, the internet is probably the best source to go to. Back when I started as a fan, the best way to find out more about anime or to watch more anime was to have a friend who had anime. What they would do is they'd do something called fan subbing, whereas one fan would get the raw video, the unedited copy, translate the script, actually add in subtitles onto the video, and pass that on to a friend. Nowadays, it can be done much easier on the internet. And in fact, there's companies nowadays that do what's called simulcasting, where as soon as the episode's broadcast in Japan, they'll actually take that and broadcast the same episode subtitled online.
Great. That's great knowledge. One more question. If you want to recommend a great Japanese animation to a viewer who never seen Japanese animation before, which would that be?
My favorite to recommend to people is Satoshi Kon's Millennium Actress. It has a very deep and multi-layered storyline, and it's perfect for the guy who goes, "You're watching cartoons? I don't want to watch any cartoons." And you go, it's like, okay, I don't care if this is a cartoon. You're going to sit down and you're going to watch this movie. And every time I've done this with somebody, they come back to me and go, "Oh my God, where did you find this and where can I find more?"
That's that good?
It is very good.
Wow, amazing. I can't wait to watch that movie. Well, you're such an expert on Japanese animation. Tell us, how did you get involved in animation in the first place?
I actually got involved through my local public television show. KTH Channel 54, way back in the day when they were actually still a station, they had a sci-fi block where I would watch stuff like original Doctor Who or The Prisoner. And afterwards, they started doing a cartoon block where they started showing anime. And I saw these cartoons, and it's like Robotech or Serial Experiments Lane, and it just blew my mind at how different it was and how deep the storylines were. And it made me want to go out and find more.
I see.
And so I actually, the best place I found was through friends first, but then I found a local anime club that some friends invited me to called No Name Anime.
And you are running that club right now?
Next year.
Next year. Well, congratulations.
The club has been going on for 20 plus years now at the Santa Clara City Library. It's on the second Saturday of every month. And the current staff has been there for quite a few years, and they're kind of tired now. So they're passing on the torch to the younger audience.
Any major events coming up at your club?
Not at our club, but this year is, in the middle of summer, is convention season. And convention season, there's conventions going on all over the United States. The biggest one in the area, I think, that just happened is the San Jose Convention Center on Memorial Day weekend was Fanime, which is one of the 10 largest conventions in the United States for anime. The next one that I can think of that's actually in the area is in August at the Santa Clara Convention Center. There'll be another anime convention as well.
Well, I can't wait to take my daughter to join the fairs. Well, do you have a website for your club for people who want to join?
It's currently under No Name Anime. If you search for it, I'm sure you can find it.
Great. Well, I want to thank you, Rob, for a great presentation on animation. Welcome to KMVT. I'm Edward Yu. Thank you for watching. See you again.
That went fast.
Yeah, I know.
Watch your mics down. They're going to start playing your closing music and run credits, so just chat amongst yourselves.
Actually, I will do the frozen a little bit.